Good morning, good afternoon. My name is Brian Barry, and I'm the managing partner at Tirna Partners. And I'd like to start by giving a little information about myself. I spent some 20 years in Ericsson, had something like 5,000 people in my organization at one stage, and had some other responsibilities of global responsibility for some product units. Ended up living in Canada. I was responsible for the Canadian market and parts of the US, and have lived in Canada for some 22 years now. Great country. This is home. Children have settled here as well. So this is where we operate our businesses from. So a little bit about Tirna Partners. Tirna Partners is a group of C-level executives that we got together some 15 years ago with the purpose of helping accelerate a company. So that was the intention. And of course, when we got introduced to Sensative by some of our ex-Ericsson colleagues, we got fascinated about the technology, and as well as accelerating companies, we help set up companies locally here to represent companies fully. So we have certainly done that in the past. IoT is no stranger to us. We have worked with some IoT companies for and our own company. We had a company that we set up here in Canada in the IoT space very successfully. So when we got this introduction to Sensative, I have to say we were very intrigued. Our first thought process was, well, had the ship sailed out of the harbor? Had the train left the station? What we loved was the battery life, the form factor of the strips. We also loved the open system platform. In fact, we had a company that we built here some years ago over a 10-year period, and we sold it very recently. And the product we had there was certainly all the attributes that Sensative had. Open system platform, you can integrate anything into it. The whole idea is that you open up what we have today in buildings and in municipalities is a very closed environment, and that really excited us. So we about a year ago, I would say, and when COVID hit, maybe just less than a year, we got very much involved in Sensative. So what we typically do is we test the market. We did that here in Canada, and we were pleased to understand that while a lot of platforms were in, and there's movement in the industry, that is still early days, very early days, in fact. And what we came to understand very quickly was that there was nothing there that had the attributes of the Sensative product. On the strip level, its form factor, its battery life, it was unique. On the application platform where you could integrate any other sensors, and effectively it could sit beside any other major applications like the big companies that work in this space. It can sit beside, it can feed into, they can feed into this platform. And quickly we found that we got a lot of excitement in the marketplace. So we've had some really neat successes here in Canada. The product has outfitted in a 60-floor building, multi-res, about 25 floors of commercial and about 35 floors of residential. And the client there, we're on our second project now, and they have just loved the whole experience of our product. And that's our flagship. It's one of the top blue chip companies in Canada. And we believe that they will help distribute this product as well because they have a distribution layer to their business. So how have we gone to market here? Well, while we're a lot of technology people, every market is unique, as I'm sure some of the people here looking at this are reviewing this video, this presentation. So we had some colleagues here and we introduced the product slowly. So one of our integration partners, a company called Veridian in the local area, works across Canada, but its primary focus is Greater Toronto Area, which is about 8 million people. So we work with them, and they've been really good partners. They've really understood what we've understood very early, that this is unique. And so that's one way of going to market. The second way of going to market is that we've already started the process of municipalities. Just recently, Sensative won another 13 municipalities in Sweden. And we see this a huge space. So we presented to one of the mayors here who's involved in the top 100 cities in Canada. And he's particularly interested. He's an innovative guy, and he wants to see how we can break down the silos in his municipality. So that's a big market focus for us, and we do that directly. So we will use integration partners for companies to be able to integrate across a broad spectrum, because they already have customers and they want to retool, and what they're looking is for the future. And integration partners that are innovative will see that Sensative, there's nothing out there. They did their own due diligence, like we did at Tirna Partners, and we could not find another product that really understood the whole implementation process of bringing an IoT system into buildings or municipalities. And what do I mean by that? What I truly mean is that the team are very technical. So when we talk about wireless, which is a big component, all of us have worked in the IoT business, you got to understand battery life when you have remote sensors. That is a big concern. So the power utilization of the systems that are used, LoRa and others, is very important. And of course, NB-IoT and all of these other carrier technologies are coming in. And what I love is that Sensative have embraced those technologies as well. So truly, when we talk at a large corporation level, who are, have tens of thousands of apartments or buildings, building units, we really captivate them, because when they bring in their specialist, we can go toe to toe, and they can see our difference. And the big difference, I'll say it the third time, is the open system platform. With that, what it gives us is the ability to have a particular use case and show a return on investment for that one use case. At the same time, it means now you have your system in with that building, that large high rise, or you have it in a big corporation. What that means is you're already in. So then they can start migrating different parts over, and they see the power of what our system can do. And very quickly, we begin to migrate a lot more systems, and we become more relevant, and they can really see this is the way the industry has to move to. Instead of a closed environment, it's an open environment. And another big point, which I also like to say, we had a big project here in Toronto. Google had promised to digitize the whole city, and Google have invested several $1 billion in Toronto, in development in Canada, and particularly in Ontario. And they wanted to. The whole project fell apart, and it fell apart because they wanted to own the data. This is public. So the city and Google could not resolve that. So Google is no longer part of the future of Toronto, and it's no longer a competitor for Sensative in the Toronto region. So the fact that you own the data as a customer, it's open system, you can integrate whatever other applications, other systems into that, is very powerful. So you may ask, what are the major use cases? Well, what we found here in Canada and in the US, it's the same problem. In fact, in a previous life with another company, we'd offered a 24,000 unit consortium to help them fix some of the water problems, water leakage, water damage. So we have a couple of problems here. One is that a lot of our buildings are older in North America. Believe it or not, if you're in Europe, yeah, we have some older buildings. And what has happened is that insurance agencies will not insure in some cases where there has been water damage every year, or their premiums become excessive. So in terms of a use case, we see that we're running a pilot with a major local company here, where they're putting our sensors in these older buildings, and we're putting up cutoff valves in each one of those units. So what that means is if there's water damage, the valve will close automatically. With that, we estimate a 40% reduction on premiums, and that's for about a 500 unit. There's two buildings, and there will be a third for a 500 unit opportunity. So that alone is, we've seen they're looking at two other companies, and we've been told that if we can do what we say we can do, which we know we can, then that business is ours. There's always some commercial negotiations after that. So water is a very significant issue here in North America. The second one is that the way buildings have been typically built, the high-rise buildings here, you have a riser going up through all the floors, and you may have hot water, another one for cold water, you may another one for the toilets, all in different areas, and they're all different feeds. And typically they run to a floor, and then they may have 8 or 10 units, maybe 20 units of that particular riser. So the problem here is that if water is included, I pay an annual maintenance charge, a monthly maintenance charge, and water, electricity, everything is included. If I leave all my faucets on, my taps on, for 24/7, I pay the same rate. So in some of the older rental properties where you have the same tenants for 20, 30 years, they're limited about how much they can increase. So we have stories where the water charge per unit is more than what the tenants are paying, because they've just been there for so long, and the increase has been 2 or 3%, but there's nothing caught up with the cost of electricity and water. So water is a big, big issue in North America. So what has happened here is that we're now looking at a way of solving this, and this problem has been tried to be solved for many, many years. But we think we have a new solution. Our issue is now getting to a cost point. So the cost today for all of these apartments would be to go and cut the pipe, put in meters. And that's a very expensive proposition. You're creating another area that there could be further damage down the road. So we're looking at clamping on a solution to a pipe and then recording that data within 5% accuracy or whatever. We see that our opportunity on 2 or 3 accounts is 20, 30,000 plus per annum. So it's very significant, and that's why we're focused there. So with that, I can talk all day on the various other applications. Obviously, we have security applications. We're looking at adding other sensors into our portfolio, not selling them directly, but being able to say, well, if you have this, if you have this, if you have this, and there's a slight fee or a fee per month of integrating these per apartment, per unit. So we're at early stages here. It's early days for us, but what I can absolutely say to you is that we're very excited. And as I said earlier, we are a very seasoned bunch of guys and girls, and we really push the boundaries when it comes to technology. We really push with contacts that make our decision makers, and everything to date, and as you can see from some of the successes, has been very significant. So we've offered our product now to 2,400 unit opportunity in a municipality, community housing. We've offered it to one of the top car manufacturing company across Canada. We're now working with banks with their remote sites. So the verticals we have, and it's just not water. It can be security, it can be temperature control, lighting, you name it. So we can see that we have something very, very special, very tangible. We love the building blocks that Sensative allow for us to go to market. The open system architecture, the owning of the data as the customer, the very unique strips that are small factor longevity. So the package of products, and we have had a look into the roadmap because we're pushing them as our customers are pushing us. And we're very pleased that they're very focused. If they can't do something, they'll bring a third party. And we like that rather than trying to do everything in-house. They're very clear what they're good at and where their speciality is and where they want to grow the business. And we keep pushing them, of course, and they keep pushing us for numbers. So with that, I'm open for questions at any time. So again, it's Brian Barry, Tirna Partners, and delighted to have this this opportunity to say how pleased we are with Sensative.